I have 5 topics that I wanted to discuss today. The first one is we have the live chat, which I'm sure you probably have all seen inside Compass now. So if you got a quick question, just click on that, and you can type a quick question. It goes to our support team, Cheryl, Misty, and Alexis. So if it's, you don't need to necessarily call in. If it's just something quick, a little quick question, just jump on the chat within Compass. Second thing I wanted to talk to everybody about today was the 10% down payment. 1 week from today, for all cash sales, we will be requiring a 10% down payment. All of our competitors do this. We're just falling in line with them. It does not affect RTO or financing. It is simply cash sales, and if somebody wants to do a cash sale, we need some kind of a little bit more skin in the game from the customer side. It is fully refundable, but they need to put some kind of money down to hold their place in the production line. So 10% in cash sales starting Monday, 1 week from today, in Compass, you'll be required to put in 10% down. We now offer white corners for our vinyl buildings. And I can show you an example of that. So think of like a red vinyl building, and like the trim pieces that go around the side, the 4 corners, those can now be a white if you'd like. If you don't choose a color here, then the 4 corners, those trim pieces on the 4 corners will be the exact same color as your main vinyl coloring. So right now I have vinyl red with white corners. If I was to do this, then the corners as well as the main vinyl color will be red. So if I want the white corners, again, that's the 4 vertical pieces on each corner of the shed. You do now have the option to make that white in Compass. The final 2 things is, one, with the RTO signature process, what we're trying to accomplish is the RTO companies don't want a line going through the middle of the contract. That's what we're trying to avoid. So we're working with integrating a third party. We're looking to have that completed by the end of next week. So your customers are going to have to use the mouse to sign, or you can print it out and have the customer sign with a piece of paper and pen, and then you can scan that and email that in to us if you'd like. We would update the invoice in Compass. But for right now, we can't have any more just a straight line going through the signature. The RTO companies are rejecting those every time. So preferably have them do it in Compass. If somebody's having trouble with that, then print it out, have them sign with a paper and pen, scan it, and email it into dealers@shedsdirectinc.com. What we don't want to do is, if they did sign it in Compass, you do not need to print it out and have them sign and then email it in. We've been getting dealers that are getting the signature through Compass, but then in addition to that, they're also having the customer sign it by pen and paper, and then they're scanning and emailing that in. That is unnecessary. If the customer signed it in Compass, you do not need to print it out and sign it and email and scan and email it in. If they signed it in Compass, you're good to go, done. We're just trying to avoid that straight line going through the contract. Like I said, we're going to have a third-party e-signature, so it's going to be a very streamlined, easy process for the customer moving forward. But that's going to be, the development will be finished. We're slated to be end of next week. And then finally, there's a slight update to the RTO security deposits. I know everybody's very excited about this, as we are. We think it will have a major impact on sales. Where it kicks in is any building that has a subtotal of $10,000 or more. So everything that we talked about in the last dealer workshop, where if the subtotal is $9,999, that all holds true. So a 14-wide cottage. That's $9,800. The only money that customer needs to put down to execute that RTO contract is $400. It's if they did a RTO contract for $8,000 on a 10-wide, the only money that customer needs to put down is $100 to execute that RTO contract. So that holds true. Where the change is anything that's above $10,000 is a subtotal. We're going to be charging $1,000 will be the security deposit for a $10,000 building. For a building that is, regardless of size, for a building that is $15,000 or greater, it will be $1,500. And for a building that is $20,000 or more, it's going to be a $2,000 security deposit. So that's the only change. So 90% of all of our sales are, our average sale is about $4,200. So, everything below $10,000 in subtotal, those security deposits that we talked about last time are still valid. It's when you get to $10,000 and above, $1,000 security deposit for a subtotal of 10 grand, $1,500 security deposit for a subtotal that's $15,000 or more, and then again, $2,000 security deposit for anything that's $20,000 or above. So that ends what the topics that I wanted to cover. I would like to go ahead and open it up. If anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns about those 5 topics.
On the 10% cash sale, is that for lot or both?
Can you say that one more time?
On the 10% on the cash sale, is that for 2 builds annually, or is it off lots and?
It is. It's all cash sales. It is 2 builds and off lots. It does not change repos. Repos are still either pay 100% at the time of sale or store your payment for delivery. So this is only all cash sales, non-repos, where we need a 10% down payment. 2 builds and off lots. This also opens up the opportunity to store that payment. So the customer puts in their down payment. That's a great time to say, hey, would you like to use that same payment profile to store your payment? And then that will get you your commissions that much quicker on that'll get your commissions that much quicker on a cash sale. Any other questions?
When is the new rent?
Go ahead, Miss. When does the rent-to-own program start? Is that was the question?
Yes.
So the RTO contracts, we got one approved. So we're slated. We have the programming ready in Compass to go live 1 week from today. However, we're waiting on the RTO companies to give us their approved, updated RTO contracts. So I am hopeful that we will get those today. If they don't give that to us, within the next couple of business days, then we may have to delay that. But we're slated. We're trying to get it all organized so that 1 week from today, that new RTO security deposit will be live. But again, it's out of my control as far as the RTO companies agreeing and submitting their updated contracts to us, because they're having their own attorneys look at it as well. So I am hopeful Monday, August 6th, 1 week from today. But I got to get those approved contracts from the RTO companies first.
Okay.
Well, we'll keep everybody updated via notification. I'm pretty confident that we'll get it, that we'll get those documents today or tomorrow. There was another question.
Yeah, Jason, it's Randy.
Hey, Randy.
How are you?
Pretty good.
I wanted to ask, I had another call come in that had to sidestep the meeting here for a couple minutes. And on the RTO, so is the down payment, is it basically 10% then? Is that what it is?
Essentially, but Yeah. So the 10% only kicks in for something that's 10 grand or more in a subtotal. So if you remember from our last dealer workshop, a 14 wide building is a $400 security deposit up to 10 grand. A 8 wide, 10 wide, and a 12 wide in playhouses, I believe, are $100. I think maybe a 12 wide might be $200, but I'm pretty sure 8 wides, 10 wides, 12 wides, and playhouses are all $100 down. That's it to execute that RTO contract. Now, the change, and this will all be in the written notification, and we're going to have a downloadable PDF in that notification that shows you our updated RTO schedules, as well as we'll put this in the resource library for y'all. The change is when anything kicks in at $10,000, when the subtotal of that building is $10,000 or greater. At that point, if it's $10,000 to 15 grand, then it's $1,000 down. If it's 15 grand to 20 grand, then it's $1,500. If it's 20 grand plus, it's going to be $2,000 security deposit. So if they order a $23,000 building, the only money that they need to put down is $2 grand. Now I want to be clear that only kicks in because there's a lot more liability with those higher priced buildings, right? So that's why they kind of updated this. So anything that's only kicks in when the subtotal of that invoice is 10 grand or more. Anything below that, so $9,999, then we have that sweet spot where 90% of our buildings will be 90%, 95 probably, not more. Anything that's $9,999 or less, it is going to be off of that same security deposit program that we talked about in the last dealer workshop. And again, that's like $100 for an 8 wide, $100 for a 10 wide, $400 for a 14 wide, and I believe $100 for a Playhouse Clubhouse, $100. And I believe a 12 wide is $100 maybe $200. But that's all the money they need to put down. That's it.
Okay, and then their first payment is due though in 15 days. Is that correct? It's just
10 days after 10 days. Yeah, 10 days after the building has been delivered. 10 days after the building has been delivered. So if they do it to build, that's going to be 2 to 4 weeks. They do it to build. So it's, after the building is on their property and they're a happy customer, then 10 days after the building is on their property will their first payment be due.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think I understand. So that, according to the current circumstances, which they've been, it sounded like the deposit was a little more, but they were paying their first month payment in with it too, and they're kind of deferring that back a little bit. Is that what's happening?
Yeah. So that's exactly right. It's just, there's a lot of times where I've heard from dealers that, those security deposits can get into the thousands sometimes. Right. I think I saw a 12 wide pass through here. The down payment was $1,251. Well, that's a lot of money for a lot of people. So that $1,251, if it was a 12 wide or a 10 wide, would now be $100 for them. And then their first monthly payment will be due, but 10 days after the building is on their property. So they'll have a little bit of leeway. But as far as your commissions and having an RTO honor the cash value of that contract, all you need to be sure of is that first payment that they made is a successful payment and that the RTO contract is signed correctly. And you do those two things, then you're good to go. And I would really push for people to use debit cards and credit cards because you get instantaneous approval using that manner versus an ACH. So when you're talking to these customers, try to push them to the ACH or credit card as a first option to make that RTO payment, because then you know that payment went through. The RTO company knows that, and then you sign the contract through Compass, and you know for a fact you're going to get your commissions on that next payroll.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think it definitely will help them ease into the RTO in certain circumstances.
Yep. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Go ahead.
Question is, are we going to get an updated price sheet thing that reflects that?
Great question. Absolutely. You're right. And I heard there's a lot of issues with not being able to download that PDF. So that was an embedded image. So we're gonna do a couple things. We're gonna we're gonna send you the updated RTO schedule that will reflect these changes that we talked about today. In the written notification that we'll be posting today, if not tomorrow morning, There'll be a downloadable link, and we're going to put it into the resource library for you.
Now, will the updated PDF, like when you're at a building, I'm sorry.
Did you have another question, Jamie?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt him. What I mean is, are we getting a blank one that we can fill out? Because the downloadable ones, I've been having a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so those are... Yeah, we did an embedded image. That was our fault. We're going, this one with the updated RTO schedules will be an embedded image, but also in addition to that, we'll have a downloadable link in the written notification that you can download the PDF and print it out or save it on your local computer. And we're also going to put it into the resource library for you. So it'll be in the written notification and it will be in the resource library from this point forward. And you will be able to download it into a PDF format and print it out or save it on your local computer.
Okay, and we'll still be able to fill out the features and all of that.
When you say fill out the features, what do you mean by that?
There are 6 lines underneath the price where you put, has a green roof, double doors, 6 windows, all that. The previous ones, I couldn't get it to be able to fill that out on the downloaded one.
Oh, okay, I see. You want an embeddable PDF in case the internet goes down or something like that, so you can handwrite an RTO order. Is that what? Absolutely.
No, I'm talking about the price sheet.
Okay. The price sheet.
On the price sheets that we hang in the buildings.
Oh, yes. Okay. Those details should automatically pull from Compass. If there's an issue there, I'll take a look at it, but you shouldn't have to put in any details at all. It should, once you click on a PDF icon, it should pull the data, the color of the roof, the style of the roof, etc., directly from Compass and pre-fill all of that. The only thing that you should be doing is clicking on the print icon, the print button, and then going out and stapling it or safety pinning it to the interior wall of a building.
Okay, because all of the ones that I've looked at have none of the features added to it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
The colors and all that stuff.
Yeah, I will, it has the invoice number in there, so I can add, it has the invoice number in there, so if you think is there a lot of value to showing somebody the invoice numbers on that sheet, I will look to see the difficulty level of, it's not too difficult, but pulling the style of roof and stuff like that, but I don't see a whole lot of value with that because the person's inside the building when they see those payment sheets, so they should know those details, but I will definitely put it on my list to add. Yeah.
I have people who shop they'll stop in here at night and walk on a flashlight.
I gotcha.
It's just another reminder.
Okay. Well, I have clarity on what you're looking for. I will add that to my Compass task list, and we will get that knocked out. I don't have a time frame for it right now, but if I can, it's going to be a few weeks, but I will definitely add that to my list, and we will get that knocked out, definitely.
Yeah, as long as I have one that I can fill out, that I put the price in, it gives me all that, put the invoice number in, like the old one. I'm happy.
You got it.
As long as I have that, I'm happy.
Will do. And I appreciate the feedback.
No problem.
Randy, did you have another question?
Well, it's kind of along the line of what he was saying with that PDF, and maybe there's a purpose behind it as far as putting the initial payment. I don't know if there's a reason that it doesn't also include the initial payment or the deposit required. It just states the payments. Is that just so that basically the customer has a little bit of unanswered information to get back with the dealer, or what? Yeah.
I mean, it's say somebody's walking the lot and you're not there, the number one question I get when it comes to RTOs is, what is my monthly payment? So those are not exact numbers, but it gives an idea that, okay, if I did a 24-month term, my monthly payments are going to be $124. So it just gives if you're busy or if you're not with the customer, it gives them the number one question I hear, and what I've heard from other dealers, the number one question is, what's my monthly payment? What's my monthly payment? And it just provides that very commonly asked question an answer, even if you're not there, or maybe they're shopping after hours, etc.
And I understand that. That's not a problem. It seems like a lot of times I end up just going straight to the RTO calculator because it gives the complete details once I punch that final number in with the sales tax and everything, and what they're initially going to have down. And I guess I always wondered, some customers, that's not that RTO calculator, even if you pull that information in or put that information in there, there's not a good print-friendly type form that goes with that, because it shows a lot of, well, it's not bad. I don't have a problem with that, but just some of that's a little confusing for a customer to look at, I guess. Sure. Liability tax and all the different things in there.
I love that. What I gathered from that feedback right there is I want to update the quoting module so that you can print out an invoice to a customer, and instead of that note section where there's just those blank lines, I can replace that with RTO updates specific to that customer. So to the penny, give them an invoice that has the diagram, that has the building option details, that has their name and phone number on it, and also includes a 24, 36, 48, and 54, 60-month RTO monthly payment specific to them, and they have that one sheet, and then there'll be a quote number at the top right-hand corner that they could always come back to you and say, hey, it's quote number Q123. You look it up and convert it into a sale, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, I think
so. I love that.
That would be very good for me, because we do a lot of quotes, or do several quotes anyway, and we're printing that information out, and the more you can get in their hands to answer that question, you don't have to be printing off different pages.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it would be printer friendly too. I could see how it would be a little ugly with trying to print out that sheet that you have. Furthermore, with this new e-signature process that we're integrating with, you'll be able to, not in the next 2 weeks, but in the next few weeks, like let's say give me about a month, you'll be able to start sending out quotes from Compass electronically, either by text or email. The customer gets that. They click on the link, they review the document that they talked to you about, and then they sign electronically, put in their payment information, and the whole thing is done. So you can send out a bunch of online quotes to a bunch of different customers, and then you'll just get emails overnight or whenever they execute that contract back to you that says that sale has been closed. So I'm very excited for that too. Yeah, and then the customer will have their own account and stuff like that within Compass. So that's another plus. Yeah. All right, any other questions, comments, concerns? Appreciate the feedback. Love it. Okay. Well, hey, I appreciate everybody's time. There'll be a written notification recapping this conversation. It's being recorded as well, so we'll share that with everybody. Keep an eye out for those written notifications. Thank you for joining us. Much, much appreciated. Enjoy your Monday. Enjoy your week, everybody. Take care.
Hey, Jason.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yes.
Hey, I forgot to ask, is there going to be a 60-month RTO term coming out? Seems like I've seen that information somewhere.
Yeah, if
not
whatever it is
out,
now,
I've just seen those terms. Yeah.
Nothing's changing as far as the term. So if what you have now is 54 months, then it's going to be 54 months.
Okay. That was a question.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, thank you everybody for your time. Have a good week. Take care.
Thanks.
All right. Bye-bye.